Hello, my name is Brad Bodnerchuk, and welcome to the Half a Dozen Hospitality Podcast, where we discuss everything hospitality, from the food on the plate to the teams that make it happen and the community that drives this industry forward. On this podcast, we sit down and chat with some of the most exciting, inspiring, and innovative minds that make up one of the most dynamic industries that there is today. And today, I have the pleasure of being joined by none other than Chef Trevor Bird. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, man.
Thank you so much. And again, like I said before we turn the mics on, I will thank you numerous times. I appreciate your time on this sweltering hot day as we hide in an air-conditioned...
This is actually nice. This isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, so giving context to you guys that aren't viewing on YouTube, listening on iTunes, we are hiding in a empty condo in downtown Vancouver that is affording us some air conditioning on this very, very hot day. So I appreciate the fact that we can afford to be in here right now because it's a little more chill.
And no sweat stains for the YouTube video. Which
yeah,
is
exactly.
sweet.
That's why I wear dark colors.
Yeah,
always dark colors.
I didn't think about that.
The first question that I usually lead off on this podcast with is the what, the where, the why, and the how, you and food. Take us back as far as you can remember that has impacted you to be where you are today. Pardon me. What was it? What is it? And how do you find yourself where you are today? Man,
that's a deep question, and you can go in so many different directions with it. I'm sure you get a lot of amazing answers from that one.
Yeah, we definitely do.
Well, where I'm at today, I mean, I'd say the only job I've ever had is cooking.
Okay.
And I think I cornered myself into a pigeonhole of cooking.
Okay.
I had never did anything else. I started slinging pizzas at 16.
Oh, wow.
Actually, no, I was 14 at Boston Pizza. And then I just never got out of the industry. I tried once to sell gas door to door. And then...
Interesting.
Yeah. The lower gas rates, natural gas rates. And then that didn't last very long. About 3 months. And then I was like, I got to get back in the kitchen. And then I just, that was it. And then I just started working with some inspiring chefs. A really good chef took me under his wing, and he was like a half businessman, half chef. And watching kind of what he accomplished through his career that I watched him was just so inspiring. And I came from a pretty broken family. Okay. And not to mention, he wasn't really well put together, but I mean, comparatively, this guy was amazing, right? So he was like my guy that I looked up to, and I held in such high esteem. And I always said, I want to be like this guy because he's an amazing chef. He's an amazing businessman. He just runs things so well. Right. And I kind of always aspired to be like him. He was also a complete dick, and I did achieve that level of dickness for a while, but then you realize you're not very happy at that point. But so cooking for that guy for a couple of years, and then just wanting to achieve it and keep on pushing and going. And there's definitely been times in my life in this career where it's I can't go on, or I need to get out of this. And then Top Chef happened, and that kind of drew me back in when I was kind of ready to leave and explore something else. And that's kind of how the restaurants were born. And then I got introduced into business, because when I opened up businesses, I actually knew nothing about businesses, which is the school of life, and will teach you more than any school ever would. Yeah. So that, I thought, put me on a really interesting path to where I am today. And
where you are today is multiple hands and multiple pies, no?
Yeah. I think I will.
Can we run down a list of kind of what's going on right now? I know I recently seen you've got a jam line going. Yeah. Correct? Yeah. You're now doing catering by you and your team. Yeah. Obviously you've got Fable and Fable Diner.
I actually exited from the diner. I'm not involved with the diner anymore.
Oh, good to know. Yeah. Okay. So is there more than the three that I've mentioned?
There's Meet Me.
Meet Me, yes,
which I co-founded 2 years ago now. And I'm I went through this big life revelation in the past 2 years. So I'd say 3 years, because I started to realize that I wasn't very happy with where I was at. Right. But I mean, I everything on the outside always looks great, you got all this shit going on, you're doing so good. And it's it's great. But on the inside, you're dying. You're like, holy, how am I doing this? And then I had a kid. So throw a kid into the mix. And then I have a wife I need to keep happy and throw her into the mix. Right. And it's who am I showing up for?
And how?
And am I going to, all I know is working 15 to 18 hours a day. Right. And then realizing that I'm spread way too thin is kind of a breaking point for any human, where you kind of reevaluate your life and say, okay, what do I need to do to be as happy as I can be? Right. So, there's all those things going on. the things that ring true right now is Fable is like always like my baby
Right.
in Kitsilano.
Yeah.
It does really well. I have an amazing team there. We get along so well. They've been with me for a couple of years now, and we can just grow. Like from there, we have such a core team, and it makes me happy.
Right.
Catering makes me happy.
Right.
Jam is an easy side hustle. Like
Yeah.
it's selling. It's like once I set up all the systems, now it's just like making it happen.
Yeah.
It's not a ton of effort.
Yeah.
Again, I like doing it. It's fun.
Right. Yeah.
But then like, getting into like Meet Me, it's like I took it on and it was like, oh yeah, this is a sweet idea. I know how to set all these systems up. But then it gets into the back end stuff where it's fulfilling orders and the whole back end thing. Like I realize I'm really not into. Like I can do face-to-face things. I can set up relationships with farmers, but there's a whole aspect to startups that I'm just not passionate about. And that's that. So it's a hard thing of like being like, okay, where am I at with that? I mean, I'm a co-founder of it. I have equity in the business and everything, but it's like I can't show up as like a true business owner to Meet Me,
Right.
Because it's just too much.
Yeah.
And then my kid needs a dad, and I love my kid, right?
Yeah.
And my kid, it means the world to me.
Yeah.
And looking at the issues that we're running into today with men and boys, and having healthy male role models in life, and like I need to show up for those people more importantly than businesses.
Definitely. As a new father myself, my daughter is 8 weeks old.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a whirlwind as a you well know. How do you, when you are doing things that you enjoy, say it's working on the Jam business or say it's online at Fable, whatever it may be?
Oh, I rarely work online anymore. like kitchens are time warps. You step into a kitchen and then it's like 10 hours later, you're like, what just happened? Where am I?
You black out.
Yeah, my wife is like, I tried to call you 3 times. It's like, I was busy. Like, they're definitely, it's an amazing experience when you're doing it, but there's a point in life where you kind of have to reevaluate.
When you are doing things that you do enjoy, though, as far as a business is concerned, how do you, and this is a selfish question for myself, when you're doing something you love and it's not with your family, do you experience any guilt, or did you before, and have you exercised that? And if so, how?
Oh man, that's good. Yeah, I mean, I would feel guilty about working so much prior to, like when I was going through this process of okay, like I do enjoy working online, but I just can't anymore. Right. And that was a little bit of it's hard to admit to yourself, especially as a chef. And it's like when you identify and your whole being is identified in being a chef, and then it's like, how do you define a chef? And when I think of a chef, I think of a person that is online 14 hours a day with grinding with his team and kind of separating yourself from that. If you're not doing that, then what are you, and then how do you identify with like, it's like, am I a chef? Do people call me chef and it doesn't really resonate with me, so I'm like, I'm not like, I still cook and I still do things. I still cook for my family. I still cook for events. I still put things together, but I'm just not that person that I have a chef in my mind. Right. So there was a really interesting transitional period there where when I won the Chef of the Year in Georgia Strait, and you'd think that was awesome, right? But it was actually really hard for me to swallow. It was. I looked at that and I was like, holy shit! Like I got so anxious about it, and I didn't feel good about it because I felt like I wasn't the chef that I thought a chef should be.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
100%. Yeah.
So it was like when I saw that, I was like, I'm not worthy. Like I don't deserve this. Why am I getting this? So it was kind of a couple of weeks to a couple months of like working through some stuff there to be comfortable with it. But
has that always been an issue for you? If you're ever kind of like lifted up by the community, have you always been challenged by accepting the applause and the accolades, or was that just at that time, just in how you felt you were performing, it didn't really resonate with you? Or has that always been a thing?
I think it's a thing for most people, eh? Like a
like
lot
an imposter
of men,
syndrome.
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of men get really, they don't accept receiving very well.
Right.
So when they when they receive these accolades and receive things, they get weird about it. They don't know how to say thank you very much. Like I deserve
just
this
accept
work.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a whole like acceptance piece, self-love piece there that you need to go through. But there was definitely a lot of guilt and shame around like not being there, because it's like then I'm letting my team down, but I'm keeping my wife happy. But then it's like there's a fine balance that you have to work through of like, because I mean there's so many employees in all these businesses that are going on, and you want to show up for them, and you want to show up for your family, and you want to show up for everyone, you know, you want to make everyone happy, which is kind of hard to do, but you also have to be
Yeah.
confident in yourself to be like, no, I can't do this, and
Yeah.
put your boundaries up. So
Have you become better at saying no then over the years?
oh yeah, like I mean, in the past 2 years, I mean, I got involved with a group of guys, and like we all, you know, an accountability group, so to speak.
Oh, cool.
And we were all entrepreneurs, and we all kind of deal with the same stuff. So since I've been involved with these guys, like I definitely feel like I've been exceeding as a human since then.
Yeah. Can we give does the group have a name? Can we give them a shout out?
Talks.
Man Talks. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it on Facebook quite often.
Yeah, led by Connor Beaton, and like those guys, like I can honestly say, like my life has changed because of that group of guys.
Yeah, I think it's so important, and you talked about it a few times already, is kind of that redefining what is masculine and redefining what it is to be a man. And I think it's so important to find, and I think the term gets used a lot nowadays, but like find your tribe, but find your community where you're safe and comfortable to go and share, and maybe be a little bit sensitive and be a little bit vulnerable.
Absolutely, and like when you're in kitchens. Like my tribe was a kitchen, right? And it was all these cooks that are all grinding all the time. And then when you don't really associate with them, then you're kind of left, and you're like, what is my tribe? who am I with? You know? And I definitely found that now. I mean, Man Talks was a huge community that would kind of accept that.
Right.
But I mean, it's a huge learning process. I feel like I'm 35, and I feel like in the past 2 years I've like just learned how to grow up.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny you say that, because for me, I'm 36 now, and I feel having gone through a separation in my previous marriage, I feel like I've learned more in the 3 years about myself than in the previous 33 years, which is crazy.
Right.
But it takes things like that. Unfortunately, I think at times, like big ground, earth shattering things to make you really take stock on what's going on. And like you were saying earlier, when you're showing up and how you're showing up, that's so big for me. Like, how do you show up to a podcast? Like, who are you going, like what Trevor is going to show up today and what Brad's going to show up for Trevor, and vice versa. And I think the thing you get in groups like Man Talks is everyone is there. And I think, I'm generalizing here a bit, but my exposure to groups like that is everyone shows up for each other and holds space for each other with it, which is so imperative and so important, and no judgment, which is huge as well.
Are you involved in anything?
Yeah, I'm involved with a group called Being Man. So very similar premise. And we operate in different silos throughout the city, and I think nationally as well. And it's like groups of 6 to 8 guys.
Amazing.
And it's daily check-ins, and then once a week we do a Zoom call.
Yeah.
So for more face-to-face stuff, and it's been great for me as well, just with whether it's business ideas or personal relationship or fatherhood questions, like all these things that I didn't really have the platform to discuss before. Yeah. And now it seems like it's more commonplace with places again like Man Talks and Being Man. I'm sure there's a multitude of others out there. But I think it reminds me a lot of it being this masculinity piece, reminds me a lot of where we see a topic like mental health right now.
And mental health in the industry is
in this industry is crazy.
It's sad.
It's
really
very sad.
I mean, you know, when growing up in the kitchens, like, I mean, I'm only 35, so it's like I like it's so, not that long ago. You know, 10 years ago. I mean, you don't talk about your hard services. You bury that shit down. You like I've cried after I've cried.
Oh yeah,
multiple times after service. You know, like just go down to the change room and just like get crushed after a 16-hour day and have your chef just rail you, and you're like, you're a broken human after that, and your chef's not going to listen to you and have sympathy for you. You know, there's nobody there, so it's a hard thing, and I feel like a lot of kitchens accept the unaccepted. Like they accept the people that don't have a tribe, that 100%. Don't have a community, you know, 100%. And like because we will, like, kitchens will take anybody on, and you know, you work hard, you become part of a community, and part of being a happy person is being part of a community, and whether that's like a grinding kitchen community or
100%.
Yeah, or a community like one of these Man Talks things, and surrounding yourself with like-minded people that want to achieve a similar thing. Is integral to our happiness.
Yeah, I find the back of house is so intriguing. My exposure in this industry has been all front of house, which is its own unique kind of being. But speaking with actually Andrea from Burdock & Co. just the other day, she was mentioning similar to the same thing you were about the back of house, and how you guys really do. As long as someone's willing to put their head down and work, like anyone is welcome, whether you got tattoos on your face or, you know what I mean, earrings everywhere, whatever the situation may be. I feel like it is such a place where there is no judgment. People can just come and be themselves. Has it always been that way from your exposure to it, or have you seen it change over the past few years?
Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah, like you kind of sparked some kind of weird thought pattern here of like,
Go for it.
you know, the people that generally don't do well in kitchens are people that know how to set their boundaries.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's true. I'd have to think about that. There's just something that came into mind.
Right,
but like
right.
somebody that's like, no, I'm not going to work 16 hours a day. Well, it's like, okay, then you don't belong with us.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
and that's
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And that's a totally fair statement to make. If you
Oh,
know
totally,
yourself
yeah,
and you know
yeah.
you're not going to do well with a 16-hour day, then yes, you should not be working in a kitchen.
Yeah.
But I mean, the people that do get involved that I've noticed, I mean, I don't want to create a huge generalization,
Right.
but they generally come from a background of a broken family.
Right.
And that's pretty sad.
Yeah.
Like myself, like I got love from production. Like
Right.
that's like just like working harder,
Yeah, exactly.
putting more, producing more positive reinforcement, want to do more of it. And I feel like that's what a lot of the environment thrives off of, which I don't think is insanely healthy.
Right. Yeah. I don't disagree with that. One thing you said earlier as well, which really piqued my interest, was your mentor, I'll call him that for lack of a better term, back when you were younger, he was a dick. And then you found that you kind of filled that role for a bit and then it got tired. Do you feel like, and again, sweeping generalization here, but do you feel like the industry has kind of gotten over that glamour of being an asshole head chef and it's more of being welcoming and creating a tribe and a team? Or do you still see when you go out and dine at, we won't say names, but at certain restaurants, you're like, man, that guy's an absolute prick, or girl's an absolute
No,
prick?
but I think it's about setting expectations as a chef, right?
Okay.
So I know when I'm not at my best. Like if I'm, you know, on 7 p.m. on a Saturday night, if I'm online, it's like setting that expectation with your cooks to be like, look, it's going to be a busy night. I'm not going to be here to be your friend for 2 hours.
Right.
And as long as there's a trusting bond between you and your team, and they understand that you are, you know, I'm not at my best in these 2 hours. And they're like, okay, Trevor is not at his best in these 2 hours. So it's like, you know, and afterwards, if they can understand that and you can communicate that effectively to your team and have them really understand what you're saying, I think that is where you start with being able to get away with that kind of behavior. And by no means, you should never speak in shame and judgment. Like that's when shit goes off the rails. Right. You can have people walk off a line. It's if you make things personal that don't have to do with cooking, and you accuse them with shame and judgment based on what they're doing, and that's when you can really hurt somebody. And really, you know, I remember people walking offline on my kitchens because of those scenarios.
Right.
But I mean, I like to think that we're getting past it, but I mean, I'm sure there's still
That
hurting people.
old guard,
the old guard, they're hurting people, because I guarantee the people that are doing that, they're not happy, and they're probably, you know, not happy with themselves. And it's you have to look at yourself and be like, okay, like what do I need to do to show up better for people?
So do you feel like now, and you're not online as much as you were before, but do you feel now it's more of a taking time to educate the staff and educate your team, be like, hey guys, like it's gonna get messy tonight, and I'm not gonna be your buddy.
Yeah,
so it's just taking that time.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I have weekly check-ins with all my management, and we sit down for, you know, however long we need to, but minimum half an hour, maximum an hour.
Right.
And we go through, like, one of my 3 questions are wins, challenges, and what's coming up.
Okay.
So the challenges are usually like, you know, on this night I had the thing, and like one of the big things I think goes so far is just touching base of like, take ownership.
Right.
Take ownership. Like if you fucked up, sorry.
No.
But if you were like aggressive and, you know, you said something that you don't feel good about, like rectify that with that person after service. And so many times that would just be like where it was left at, right?
Yeah.
You all go home and that person like is like, oh, I can't really talk to him because he's so mad at me, but that really bothered me. And then it's just this like building block for torment for the two of you, you know? Where it's like, if you act out of line, own that you act out of line.
Yeah.
Notice that you did, talk about it, and then you can move past it.
Yeah.
But if you just go into it like with that, you know, brick wall, stone wall type of attitude, nothing is going to come out of it. But you can be like, all right, so that got me really angry. I acted inappropriately. This is why. Right. You know, hopefully we can avoid that next time. And
more accountability.
Yeah. And it's about taking accountability. So going back to my chefs, it's like when I hold them accountable to go talk to those people. If like, okay, so what happened? This happened. Okay, you got super upset. You weren't proud of yourself. And they're aware of it. And it's like, did you talk to the person? And most of the time they'll say, yes, I did. Right. But sometimes like, you know, like I wasn't really ready. So it's like my challenge for you for this next week is go talk to them. And then I just follow up with them the next week. And they're like, yeah, I went to talk to them. Everything's fine.
Right.
I have to say, like, when I opened Fable, like my average turnover, like I'm probably like a 210% turnover rate since Fable opened, but like since I've opened Fable, and I opened Fable with no management experience. And
Right.
especially being trained by the worst managers on the planet.
Right.
So like I had no leadership capability. Leadership does not come naturally. Whatever
No.
anybody says,
Yeah.
you need to work on it. You need to read on it. You need to know how to motivate people. You need to know what makes people tick. And like I had none of that.
Right.
So I mean, I was lucky if I kept a cook for 3 to 6 months. Like 6 months, I was like, sweet, And today, like, where are my turnover? Like I'm averaging a year to 2 years per line cook, and like 2 years plus
Wow.
for management. And I'm super proud of that, because I never thought that I could make it here.
Yeah, and especially in the environment that we're in today, where keeping good talent is so difficult.
Oh yeah.
This industry is just, I mean, I'm sure you do see it in other parts of your business or other peers of yours. It's a big issue right now is finding good talent and keeping good talent.
Yeah.
Because the cost of living isn't getting any cheaper, and
It's insane.
margins aren't getting any bigger in this industry, right? I mean,
The restaurant industry. God.
yeah, and it's one thing I'd love to get your take on. And my whole thing is, there's a glass ceiling with how much you and I are going to pay for a piece of halibut when we go out to eat.
Yeah.
We're not going to pay $75 for it. We'll pay $38 maybe.
Yeah.
If it's really good,
It's really good.
right?
Yeah, 38's getting up there.
Exactly.
But I mean, it's almost becoming average. Like when you look at places like L'Abattoir, Hawksworth, like good on them. Like their main courses are like $40 to $55.
Yeah.
Like that is awesome. Like that's what you should be paying for a main course.
Right.
And then at Fable we're kind of on the, I guess, casual fine
Right.
area spectrum, and it's like we charge like $33 for halibut, and we definitely get comments being like, that's so expensive, and it's like,
It is.
come on, man.
So that's what
and
I
that's
want.
why that's going back. That's why I boycott spot prawns, because there's no point in me serving like I'm
Right.
not eating a 50% food cost to sell
Yeah.
spot prawns at a reasonable price. Like
Right.
they're so expensive. Like I buy them for just as much as you can buy them for,
Yeah,
which is where
exactly.
the disadvantage comes from.
Yeah.
So
So to that point, how do we as a community, as an industry, deal with this? Because like I said, you and I, we go out for dinner, we're only going to pay X amount for that steak. And you as the restaurateur, as the head chef, you are forced to purchase it at X amount. So how do we dance around this to make it feasible, to keep staff, to have cool rooms, to all those things? Like what is the
reality is prices are going up. There's no avoiding it. I mean,
Right.
with the NDP government coming in and putting further pressure on small businesses, especially restaurants, when our margins are already like 3 to 5% on a good year.
on a really good year? Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, there's no you have to up the price, and that's
Right.
going to be that's it.
And
That's I mean, I'm saying whether that makes your restaurant slower or not, everybody's going to do it.
Yeah.
By 2019, we have to pay another payroll tax
Exactly.
for everybody's MSP, which is cool, but like that's just another cost that we're going to incur, and we have to pass that cost on, because like that's going to be an extra 1% of bottom line.
My hopes are with podcasts like this and conversations like you and I are having, though, we take the time to educate the average consumer to understand why that plate is $33 at your restaurant. It's not, you're not just paying for the halibut and the accoutrement.
Well,
You're paying for everything else.
Going into the labor thing where it's like,
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh, everybody should have a living wage in Vancouver. It's like, if I paid every one of my cooks $25 an hour,
Yeah.
your meal would be $75 like for a main course.
Exactly. And you're probably not going to spend that.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, man. And then getting into like the whole long working hours thing, and like working by love for production and working so many hours. It's like the people like reinforce that behavior. Like when you look at, I'm not going to name any specifics, but I mean, there's some restaurants there where cooks all start at like 10 in the morning and
Right.
they leave at like 1 in the night because they're so busy, right? And
Yeah.
people love that restaurant. They want to go there, but it's like the only way, because of space that you
Right.
can't really pay for, that you can produce that much food is by having the staff work that much. And it's like,
Right.
it's like reinforcing to us to work our staff that much harder. And it's like, it's such a hard battle that I really try to contemplate on and meditate over, to like how can we make this work in a healthy environment? And like
Right.
the casual service fine dining restaurants, I mean, it's a grind, man.
Yeah, it's tough. It's only getting tougher, like you said. Things aren't getting cheaper, right?
Yeah. And I really think that, because of these issues, like this is forging the way that we're eating. Like fine dining doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, you're right.
Because it's just too expensive because of all these reasons, and people don't want to pay for it. So we're getting a lot into fast casual, which is all I love eating like that. I love eating like popina, like that food, like style of food where you like have everything come to you and you just like eating a bunch of really delicious food is awesome. But I mean, you know, the public is really forging how we're going to be eating within the next 5 to 10 years. And it's going to be DL fried, download, you know, fried chicken and shit. And like, that's what it's going to be. And that's cool. But it's not like, it's not.
That's my fear. And that's something I talk about so much on this podcast, because it is called the Half a Dozen Hospitality Podcast. And I want to focus on that word for a second, hospitality. So my fear is that, and this is not to say that Papina is a great restaurant and Tractor and Railtown Cafe and all these places that are doing that really well.
That's how you make it though.
I know, I understand that. But my fear is that we're losing touch of what hospitality is. So when I come into Fable, I'm greeted at the door. I'm seated. I'm welcome to your restaurant. I'm probably told about who my server is going to be. Feel free to interject here. And then my server comes over and they ask me, do we have any questions? What we'd like to drink? Sparkling water, still water. You know, there's
okay. So I'm sorry to cut you off.
No,
You're totally right. But then, like being a person that started off as I opened a restaurant to cook my food, and now I'm much more identify with a business person than a chef at the moment.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? I'm starting to look at numbers and be like, all right, like what makes sense, what doesn't, and then you look at these fast service restaurants or like quick service restaurants, QSRs, and I mean, you look at the profit margins and they're like they're in double digits, you know, and where you're grinding and working a staff so hard through a casual fine dining, and your profits are single digits. Mid.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And then you're like, why am I doing? Why? What's the point?
So my question then is, where and how do we find that hospitality piece? Because if you and I were to go to Download Chicken right now, our only real exposure to them and their brand is the lineup, the menu that we look at above us, taking our food, and then that's it. It's left. Like, it's just you and me now defining what Download Chicken is. Whereas if you go to Fable, there's a story. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And your staff would take us through the menu and they create an experience for us. So my fear is, and I'm not debating that is the reality where we're going, but my fear is when your son is our age and my daughter is our age and they're talking about dining, that hospitality piece of like being romanced and having wine suggestions and all these things will just be lost. Like where do you get that? Do you only get it on Sunday nights at home?
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I think that it is a dying industry. I mean, you know, when you look at how many restaurants close up shop, if we adapt kind of the European way of eating, I don't know if listeners have ever been to Europe. I mean, you go to a similar restaurant to Fable or to any other restaurant in the city that's just a casual fine dining restaurant, Annalena. I mean, you're paying through the roof for it. And these are euros. Right. I mean, I went to L'Atelier de Joe Robichon, who unfortunately passed recently from cancer. I don't know if you heard that. He's a crazy good chef, and it's one of the best meals I've ever eaten in my life. Wow. But I mean, everything on the menu started at 80 euros. Like that was like 2 bites of a sweetbread on toast was 85 euros. It's like $170 for 2 bites on toast. You know what I'm saying? So the restaurant was busy, but they got it figured out. Like that's what you have to do. And that's the clientele that you need to serve.
Do you think it's because I lived in London for a few years and I found living there for 2 years and coming back, I felt like Canada, I don't want to say we're immature, but we're still very young as a country. Oh, yeah. So do you feel like we could get there with more education and more time? Because Europe obviously
I think
has
it's
been
population.
There. Yeah.
I mean, 36 million people in like, you know, the span of Canada where I don't know what the population of France is.
It's dense.
It's dense.
Yeah.
Like probably I don't know, 5, 6, 8 million people within France, maybe 12. I don't know.
We'll fact check that.
Yeah. I could pull up my Google right now, but please do. But I'm saying it's like, it's very dense populations, right? There's a lot of money there. There's really good economic growth and background support that can help that. And we're in Vancouver. I mean, struggles, bro.
Yeah, it's, you know what, it's actually, I'm overcome with a bit of like sadness as I sit here and kind of look at you and feel like, you know what, you're not wrong, but I just fear for those, like that's why I love this industry so much is those experiences. That's what I remember are those meals, right? Mm-hmm. I don't tell stories about, with all due respect.
Oh, I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
With those QSRs, that doesn't resonate with me. Sure, it's good, and usually it's healthy, and usually really fresh. That's awesome. Yeah. But that to me is
respect, man. I really respect what you're doing. Like seriously.
Oh, thank you so much. Cool. Yeah. No, and I hope that this, at the very least, can tell that story of what hospitality is. to that point, how do you, Trevor Bird, define hospitality, whether it's in your home, whether it's at Fable, whether it's just running your business? Like, how do you define the term hospitality?
I'm going to say service and meeting people's needs.
Okay.
Kind of reading what people are expecting
Mm-hmm.
and how you're going to meet those expectations,
Right.
and how you're going to go out of your way to exceed their expectations. I mean, one of my mottos is under promise, over deliver.
Yes, I love that one.
Because, you come in and you're like, oh, like I just thought this, but then you're like, blow it out of the water, right?
Yeah.
And like that's like that's not just hospitality. That's how I think you should show up in life, really.
Right.
I mean, it's not because if you don't want to go in there being like, I am the man, I'm
Right, yeah.
I am the shit, and I'm going to do this, and then your expectations are high, and then
Yeah.
you better be good, because if not, you're going to be eating your feet, So it's good. It's good to just like kind of be humble, show up the best you can, and try your best to meet somebody else's needs. And I think that's a good definition of hospitality.
Very cool. One question I haven't asked for a long time, but I would love to ask you because I really respect what you do as far as food and creation. If you were having tomorrow night the Trudeau's for dinner,
Yeah.
and you had to do 3 courses, what would you make?
Oh, the
Totally-
Trudeau's.
totally on the
Why-
spot.
Why the Trudeau's?
I don't know. This popped into my head.
All right.
This is in your home. This is not at the restaurant. This is in Trevor Bird's
yeah,
home.
in my home, like whenever I cook, I definitely like to barbecue and just do smorgasbords, like just
Okay,
like
yeah.
spreads of food.
Yeah.
So there's no really it's not coursed out, but like
Okay.
like that's just how I cook at home. It's just
Right.
a big salad and then like a cutting board with like a steak on it, grilled sweet potatoes, and like a bunch of different stuff. And
Nice.
of course, black pepper jam.
Yes, there you go.
On the
Shout out.
steak.
Nice
Yeah.
plug. I like that.
But yeah, I mean, like everybody involved in my life gets a free lifetime supply. I didn't even bring you any.
No, it's all good. I'll hit you up for that. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
Good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd probably just cook like one of my favorite like easy moves to do is double roasted potatoes.
Okay.
Which is just like you boil potatoes.
Yeah.
You season the hell out of them with salt, and then
Okay.
smash them down, toss them in oil, and then roast them in a wicked hot oven,
Ooh.
like 500 degrees. And like everybody's like, no matter who you are, whether you're a fancy chef or someone
Yeah.
that doesn't even like food, you eat those things, and you're like, everybody's like, how did you make these? Like they're
Right.
so good.
How did you come to discover that?
I don't know. Probably just being in the shit, like
Yeah.
trying to throw together some food pretty quick and being like, oh, actually, these are awesome.
Is not to cut you off on what you're going there, but back to the potato for a second. Is there such thing as an original idea when it comes to food or art?
I mean, yeah, if you push the envelope, I mean, I
Okay.
definitely think so. I mean, when you look at like what Alinea is doing and everything like that,
Right.
that's crazy food.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely think there is.
Right.
But I mean, I think that, I mean, everything's been done for
Yeah.
sure.
Because I think there's like things that we see and hear, even like the vocabulary that I use when I'm on the show or when I'm talking just in general. Like I grab that from somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like I'm hearing it there, seeing it there,
Yeah.
and it just sticks with you for some. And or maybe like now I'm gonna go try and make that potato.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Totally.
it's not really. And maybe I'll do something mistakenly, but it will be unique.
Even
and-
better.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But I'll probably burn it, to be honest.
You can't like it'd be pretty hard to burn, but like 500 degrees,
Yeah.
super. But like, yeah, I think that there's a way to entertain without being stressed out, And I think that people put a
Yeah.
lot of pressure on being like, oh, I'm having the Trudeau's over, like
Yeah.
I gotta put together this thing. But
Right.
I'm a really big believer in relaxed cooking,
Mhm.
and even though. Hey, my cooks that used to work for people would be like bullshit, but like, I think that like having dinner parties and stuff, and if I ever did write a cookbook, which I might at some point if I ever have the
Yes.
bandwidth,
Yeah.
it would definitely be along the lines of like stress-free cooking.
I like that.
Yeah, and it would be like how to cook fish and how to nail fish without like worrying, how to
Yeah.
cook a perfect steak without worrying about how it's going to be cooked. And
Yeah, I think that's one thing. Being someone that likes to host people in our home as well, it's one thing I really challenge myself with doing is being present and not having to like go away for 25 minutes. And,
exactly right.
Yeah.
So here, let me give you a couple of pointers because these are the moves that I like to do.
Okay, here we go.
And this is, I mean, if anybody's ever like, I do a lot of demos and a lot of like cooking things, and
Right.
I'll talk to you after this, but I'm interested in getting into some form of like cooking commercial YouTube
Oh yeah, cool.
type
Yeah,
series.
man.
But
Yeah.
like I have a whole thing about this because I think a lot of people can benefit for it, because when I speak about it, they're like, it's like minds like melt. They're like, what
Yeah.
do you mean? So I think there's a lot of value in it.
100%.
But set your oven. The first thing is like low and slow cooking. Like that's
Right.
like that will take the stress right off your back.
Right.
But if you want to entertain for a lot of people and you want to feed a lot of people, my favorite thing to do is take a piece of salmon or halibut,
Okay.
salt, and a ton of olive oil.
Okay.
So it's like dripping off the sides of it.
Right.
Set your oven to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, which is like the lowest setting. It's like if you could picture that, you could hang out in your oven for like 20 minutes before you're like, okay, this is too hot.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Put your fish in.
Yeah.
And just walk away. And your window of that fish getting cooked, it will cook in 15 minutes.
Right.
But you could leave it in there for 45 minutes.
Is that because of the fat you've added?
No, this is because of the temperature.
Oh, okay. Wow. It just
because
stays.
like
Okay.
when you're talking about if you're cooking salmon for your party, you're like, oh my god, you're like searing it, you're like checking
Freaking
it, you're
out.
poking it, it's falling apart, you're cutting it open,
The
and then there's
skin's
like
ripping.
you're like, what the shit's going on, right? So this like slow baked oven, it's slow baked way is just like your window of overcooking that fish goes from like 30 seconds over high heat where you're like stressed out to 45 minutes of it being
cool,
completely nailed.
People messing up protein happens far too often.
Far too often.
Any other tips?
Oh, tons, man. I could talk about this all day.
Can you give us 2 more?
Yeah, for sure. When you're doing steaks, like I always like to, I'm going to give Pete's Meat a shout out right now because I got a steak from there the other day and it was like,
killer.
Holy cow, it was good.
What's your cut?
Cow.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it was a strip loin, and he just cuts it properly. Like it's a good like 2-inch thick cut, proper steak, and it feeds 2 or 3 people.
Right.
But that's how a strip loin should be. But if you just take that salt, pepper, I really like Montreal steak spice.
Okay.
Just like layer it in that, push it into the meat really good. Again, 200-degree oven for 20 to 50 minutes.
Okay.
It's gonna look kind of like reddish and weird.
Okay.
And then just whenever you just leave it out, like just like put it in the oven for 45 minutes, take it out, leave it out whenever you want to eat it.
Yeah.
Super high sear or barbecue.
Yeah.
And just like give it grill marks, and it's perfectly medium rare.
Wow.
Awesome meat.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it's just like you know you're not like worried about overcooking the meat or anything.
Yeah.
It's like it's rested. There's no blood like pissing out of it. It's perfect.
So we've talked about 2 omnivore dishes, people that eat everything. What about if you want to create like a vegetable dish? What's your like go-to?
Yeah, my wife always cooks these awesome veg dishes, and a couple of them have actually showed up on the Fable menu.
Oh,
I
cool.
get pretty inspired by her. She's a really good cook.
Is she vegetarian or
no?
Oh, okay.
She's just a good cook.
Right.
When she's in a good headspace and not momming all the time, you know. Shout out to moms. It's a hard
Shout
life.
out to all the moms. Yeah, just crushing life.
Yeah, it's a hard gig.
So hard.
But she makes right now she's on this like crispy tofu train.
Oh, okay.
Fucking so good.
I'm always frightened by tofu. I'll be honest with you.
She kills it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like just like cornstarch and like fry it in like coconut oil and then like toss it in like lime juice, palm sugar, fish sauce, and it's like so good.
There you go. You've got 3 foolproof, entertaining dishes there.
Yeah.
One thing I also wanted to touch on was your success that you had with the brand of Top Chef and kind of how that, I'm guessing, catapulted you into where you're at today. Do you look back on that time fondly? Are you tired of talking about it? Does it still define you? Does it not define you? Like, where are you at with it?
definitely don't think it defines me anymore. Like, not at all. Definitely, I'm so thankful for the opportunity that was given to me.
Right.
Definitely sent me down a path, and I'm very fortunate to have experienced that and go through what went through, how it all happened. It was pretty magical.
Right.
It's a very touching story to my heart. In 2012, like it was unbelievable. One of the best experiences of my life. I mean, so much emotion, and just like the way that it went from where I was in my head to thinking that I was a complete failure to performing extremely well on Top Chef, which I never thought would happen, to meeting my partners in Fable and meeting all the people that helped me put Fable together, and not knowing anything, but just having this like will, this like I don't even know if I could ever find that energy again. To pull that together. But to pull it together was intense, and then to have it turn into what it did, and then put me down the path that I'm on today, I can honestly say I'm like the happiest person I've ever been. Right. Which is huge, right? And for that to happen, you need to crumble as a human. You need to fail. You need to pick yourself. You need to fail well. You need to learn how to fail. And yeah, that set me down a really good path. And then I'm going to say, like, the last time I did Top Chef, because I was in the All-Stars as well, I mean, I don't think of it as a negative experience by any means. I still did pretty good. I mean, I wasn't super happy with the way I performed on it, but when I look at it, like, my head wasn't really into it. I wasn't like when I was in it the first time, I was like, oh, like, this is really fun and I'm really into this. When I was on it, the All-Stars, I was kind of like, what am I doing here? I shouldn't be doing this. I have way too much going on. I have a kid at home. Like, why? Like, I just wasn't into it. Yeah. and I guess I kind of showed on the show, right? Like I was kind of over like being labeled and judged by other people where I'm like, I don't need your approval. I don't care what you think. Like, and so, and the people that like the two people that did go on to the finale, I mean, that was like, they were gung ho.
They were all in.
They were all in. This is like, this is, I have to win. And I'm like,
right.
That's good for like all the power to you.
Yeah. Do you, which is cool.
Exactly.
I kind of assumed that your original tenure on Top Chef was kind of like the Rolling Stones playing that one song that was their hit. Do you know what I mean? But they have no distaste for it because that song got them to where they are. Do you know what I mean? So people are going to request it. They're going to ask for it. Do you know what I mean? But it just, you have to be humble and be like, you know what? If it wasn't for that song, we probably wouldn't be the Rolling Stones. Or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like it's cool.
I'm still bitter that I lost. I'm just joking. I'm joking. But like, yeah, I mean, you know, everybody's exactly where they need to be.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it was a life-changing experience.
Can we talk a bit about who you feel right now in the hospitality space is absolutely crushing it, whether it be locally or nationally, internationally? Is anyone you're looking at from afar going, damn?
You know, that's we could go in so many directions with that. I mean, I could give you a real straightforward answer and just be like, I could name someone. But I think that I have we could get into a bit of social media. I don't know how much time we have.
Yeah, we can. Yeah,
okay, but
let's go.
We can get into a lot of stuff right now. But I feel like first I'm going to start. This is where it takes me. Comparison is the thief of joy, and that's going to be the beginning of this conversation.
Okay.
I think being a chef, there's so many different people out there doing good things, and everybody's posting their stuff on social media, and everybody's showing what they're doing, and look at me. I mean, I'm a super busy restaurant on this, and it makes a lot of other chefs, including myself, I've been to this, feel really insignificant. Mm-hmm. Like I'm super busy, but I'm not doing enough because my restaurant's not as busy as I want it to be, or like I'm not part of this event that's going on this weekend, but all these restaurants are. Like, why am I not there? Like, you know, so you get into this really weird headspace of like of comparing yourself to everybody around you. So I'm going to say that like I don't pay too much attention to other people's stuff.
Nice.
And that's just because I know what it does to me.
Yeah.
And I'm aware that it doesn't serve you. Thank you for putting those words in my mouth.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, absolutely. That's what I was looking for, but it just doesn't serve me in a good way. But I mean, like, you know, the people that I do think that are killing it in this industry are people that are happy with their life, showing up for the people that need them in their life, and that are doing it successfully.
Yeah, I think that's so huge. I take so much inspiration from people like yourself, if I can say, that are just doing what makes them happy. And I think from that, like me with this podcast, for example, from that, I think so much can grow and you can inspire so many other people to do that. I just think it's so cool to watch someone from afar, whether it be through social media or in person, and they're just being themselves unapologetically. Mm-hmm. I think there's so much value to that. And I think going back to your point on social media, we can get caught up in the whole highlight reel, but I personally don't want to see that. I want to see someone being real, not highlight reel. I want to just like what goes on. Totally, man. And like what, you know, like when you're putting all of your shit onto Facebook and Instagram, it's like, that's 1% of your life. And then people like aren't really mature enough to realize that. And they're like, and they start to be like, why am I not doing everything this person is doing? And like, I have a really weird relationship with I have a great following, and I'm so thankful for having such a good following. People super interested, but I'm really wary about what I post on it because I don't want to contribute to that society. I don't want to pump out like all of my good shit and then have everybody, and I don't want to negatively affect other people's headspace. And I know that's not that's not really up to me to do. But at the same time, it's like, you know, it is from looking on the outside in, people can easily misconstrue that's like a very small portion of most people's lives. Like when you look at Gary Vaynerchuk or somebody else that's like living these crazy lives and like pumping it in your face and down your throat, you're just like that guy, that guy makes me have an anxiety attack. Like I need to, as soon as I need to be like interacting with people on Instagram. I need to be like talking. And it's like, that's not who I am or what makes me happy, but like it gets crammed down your throat so hard and it can really mess you up. So do you find yourself going down that deep dark hole of social media, or are you? No, I'm over it, man. I have, and I like, you know, you break, and then you're like, okay, why did I break? And if you're emotionally like secured, self-aware enough to be able to be like, okay, why am I not happy at this point? You know, you kind of analyze everything that you're going through. Right. So no, it doesn't affect you. You're not reading all the noise. No, not anymore. No.
No. So like who do I think is really killing it? I mean, I really respect what you're doing, man. I think it's amazing that
awesome, dude.
you're
Thank
taking
you.
away from like from what your career to come into this space. I mean, that's unreal, you know, and you seem to be super passionate about it. So that to me is very respectful.
Oh man, that
super
means a
cool.
lot. Yeah, thank you so much.
And if you look at just basically any businesses that support that kind of growth within humans is a good thing.
Yeah. Does that ever been, or is that now currently a thought process that you have when it comes to starting up a new business or just operating the business that you have? Are you conscious of thinking how it's impacting people's lives, whether it's creating opportunities, creating jobs, whatever that is? Is that conscious in your decisions?
Yeah, 100%. I think that one of the big questions that one of my mentors asked me, a business mentor, he said, "What is enough?"
Wow.
And
okay.
that he asked me that question 2 years ago, and I think about that question every week. And you have to define for yourself, what is your success?
Right.
What is enough? What am I going to be happy with? I mean, I feel like I started to take on so many businesses and so much on my plate because I never thought I had enough.
Right.
And you know, like when you're constantly reaching for things that you don't have, when you get them, you're just going to keep on reaching for more shit that you don't have.
Yeah.
And then when you get them, you're just going to keep on. When you've made it, I did quotation marks, when you've made it, then you're going to start reaching for more. So I think the really important practice is self-love, gratitude, be happy with what you have. You know, you don't need anything else, because then when you attain it, you don't need to keep on pushing to gain more, because you're already content with everything you have around you.
Yeah, I love that, man. And I feel like we could probably go on for hours just talking not so much about food and hospitality, but what and why we do what we do. Because I think for me, and I'm getting from you, that it's a deeper level than that. And that's what I love about this show. It's allowed me to uncover and understand people like you a little more, and understand the why behind you do what you do. And it's not just about, hey, I was the guy on Top Chef and now I have a restaurant and now I make jam and now, you know what I mean? There's more to it than that. And I don't want to put words into your mouth, but you're doing these things to facilitate a change and facilitate opportunity for other people. One question I do have for you though is, how do you define success? So what is success to you?
Awesome. It is living life on my own terms, speaking my truth and showing up for myself. And I think that's a really hard thing for people in the industry to do, because you're always looking for that outside approval of bloggers, of the community, of people accepting you into the restaurant world. Right. And it's just kind of being comfortable with what you have and defining your own success as success. Like being able to be like comfortable with what you have.
See, that to me is like, what if I like using the term sexy, like that to me is sexy. That's attractive, because I want to be around people like that. I want to be around people that say, why do I have to do that to be successful? Like who said that? Do you know what I mean? Like who said I have to have a beard, and who said I have to wear chef whites?
That's why I'm not involved with the diner anymore. Like everybody's opening all these multiple restaurants. You know, and I thought that was just what I had to do.
Right.
What I had to do to
keep relevant.
Yeah, to be a successful chef in the city, and I did it. And then I was like, this does not make me happy at all.
Yeah. And I think that right there is where the beauty is coming to that realization and acting on it, and not just thinking about it, and then allowing others' opinions to kind of creep into how you.
And that's where your accountability group really kicks your ass, and that's where they really come into play, and why everybody should have one. Yeah,
whether it's a group of men, whether it's your female partner or male partner, or just one buddy or whatever it is, I think it's the value there is just, it's immeasurable, and so important, especially in the world we're living in today. As beautiful as it is, and as amazing as it is for us to use something like social media to reach a lot of people, there's just so much noise out there. And I'll just say this, that with this industry in particular, with there being so much mental health issues and drug abuse and alcohol abuse, if you're listening to this and you do need help or assistance, reach out. Whether it be to myself through the podcast, or I'm going to put Trevor's name up here as well, because he has not a lot going on. But there's a community out there that's there to support you. And I think that's part of going back to what I was saying earlier about losing this hospitality piece. I don't want to lose that community and that camaraderie, which I think is so unique to this industry.
Yeah.
In the intro, I always say, one of the most dynamic industries that there is. And I truly believe that this industry is so dynamic. So many moving pieces and so many variables. And we can easily get caught up in trying to be sexy all the time. But to me, being sexy is just being true to who you are.
Yeah, man. Amen to that.
The show is called the Half a Dozen Hospitality Podcast. So I have for you, Trevor, 2 more questions before I let you go.
Yeah.
I need from you your half a dozen have-tos. So stay with me here for a second. I need from you 1 to 6, putting you on the spot here, 1 to 6 things you've experienced in your life, books you've read, dinners you've eaten, movies you've seen, concerts you've been to, shirts you've purchased. 1 to 6 things that you've experienced that you think the listeners have to experience.
Wow. That's on the spot.
Yeah.
Okay.
1
I'll try to make it quick enough.
to
Okay.
6. You can tap out at 1 if you want.
The thing that I found really transformative was having an accountability group.
Okay.
A solid morning routine.
Okay.
That like one that you just take time for yourself and that is it. Like you just really,
huge. Yeah.
I don't want to sound too preachy because it's all
No,
like,
preach, man. No, preach.
I'm like a self-development junkie.
Man,
I
me too.
love that
You see all
shit.
the books I'm reading right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, so hey, just go with it.
Yeah.
Run with it.
I mean, the book that sent me down a really good path was How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Ooh, I haven't read that yet, but I keep
Dale
hearing about
Carnegie.
it.
It's I mean, it's a classic. And then somebody gave me that book, and it was like that's still on my golden shelf that I have like 10 books on that I always go to.
Right.
That was a really good book.
That's 2. Those are 2 good ones.
Yeah.
You can keep going if you want.
Is that 2? I thought it was 3.
Oh, okay. I'll give you that. I'll give you that 3 on technicality.
Community. Identifying with people outside of what you do for a living.
Right.
If you are a cook or in a restaurant industry, get involved in something else besides that.
Right.
I think that is so big into happiness. Look forward to volleyball, running, something that does not mean being just talking about work in restaurants all the time.
Right.
So something to look into. Yeah, and that's community. So that'd be 4.
Mm-hmm.
Physical activity.
Okay.
That would probably put that higher on the scale than 5, but definitely do something for yourself, and that could be worked within your morning routine or whatever. But just
move your body.
And a really hard thing to do though is just like it's be true to yourself and really ask yourself the questions of like, am I doing what I'm doing? Does it make me happy?
Right.
And if it doesn't, start asking yourself why. And even when you are really happy, ask yourself, why does this make me really happy?
What about this? Yeah.
So you can, because it's easy to recognize when you're in a rut.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to start asking yourself that question. But like when you're in a really good mood as well, that's kind of when you put it to the side and you become kind of unaware. And that's when you can kind of get off kilter. But if you ask yourself, like, why am I in such a good space right now?
Yeah.
And start to nail down those points. But so just being aware of your attitude and where you're at all the time, I think is awesome.
Nice. Fantastic. Have to. Last one I have for you is the half a dozen haven't yets. So 1 to 6 things that you haven't experienced yet, almost like a bucket list, if you will. So 1 to 6 of
6
Trevor
is a lot.
Bird's.
12, this is a lot. Like,
Well, it's the half a dozen, so it kind of goes hand in hand.
Totally.
But hey, like I said, I give you the opportunity to tap out at like 2 or 3, whatever you want.
This is a really weird process, but I'm gonna say that if I died tomorrow, I'd die a very fulfilled person.
That's awesome, man.
I have accomplished everything that I've wanted to accomplish in my life.
Wow.
So to date, like there's very little that I feel that unfulfilled in. I have a beautiful family.
Right.
I have started the businesses that I always wanted to since I was 18.
Right.
I've experienced amazing community, amazing friendships. I have experienced, I don't know, there's nothing much really out there that I feel the need to.
Dude, that's epic.
Yeah. I mean, I can't answer that quickly.
No, that's great. And you know what? I think you're one of 2 guests over, I think I've recorded like 26, 28 episodes. You're one of 2 people to say that. And I don't, as much as I want to hear some things you haven't experienced yet, I think there's so much power in being like, you know what, I'm good. And that's so cool that you can say that. And I believe it looking at you. It's not just some like shitty answer. So
thank you. Okay. I came to one. Like I wish that I liked hiking. Or no, not hiking, camping. Because I love hiking, and I wish I had the ability again, I'm not saying that I don't, but I that's something that I would like to take on. I'd like to go on like an epic long hike with like my kid when he's old enough.
Right, like portaging and stuff, and like
Yeah. But I'm kind of a pussy when it comes to do outdoors stuff. Like I don't like sleeping on uneven ground, and I don't like carrying heavy things. So, but that would be one. Like I'd love to go do like Mount Garibaldi with my brother and spend the night up there
Cool.
and stuff. And like and that's something that I haven't done, and that's something I do want to do. So
Right.
that would be a bucket list.
There you go. But it is so powerful not to make light of it, but it's so powerful that you can say that right here, right now, I'm good.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
And it takes. I mean, that is not. I mean, shit. It takes a lot of work to get
Hell
there.
yeah.
It's
Hell yeah.
That's work.
Well, kudos to you, man. And I will. I think we'll end it there because it's a great spot to end it. Before I let you go, where can people find you? Where can they support you? How can they support your products, restaurant, etc.?
No, thanks, man. Fable Kitchen on West 4th.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the one, but you can reach out to me on Instagram, Chef Trevor Bird.
Right.
Twitter, I'm not too active on anymore because I don't know who is, but
Right.
if you want to, 83T Bird.
There you go.
I have a website, trevorbird.ca. You can get all my catering info on there, black pepper jam info.
Nice.
Yeah, and just like if you want to know what I'm up to, I mean, Instagram is probably the best way to do it.
Check the gram.
Everybody's on that stuff. So.
Everyone's on it.
Yeah.
I want to take a moment to just say thank you so much for,
thank you.
Again, holding space. I feel like we could have chatted for hours on many things, hospitality, but outside of it as well. And I want to thank you for being as true and honest as you are. I think in today's age, it is so easy to just share your highlight reels. So I appreciate you sharing things like going through what you went through and finding your tribe with your man talks and really growing as a man. And I appreciate you as a father and what you want to do
Thanks,
for,
man. That
for
means a
your
lot.
son. And I'm sure that you will do everything you can to show up for him and your wife as much as you possibly can. So I celebrate you. The community supports you. And yeah, man, I look forward to seeing how you grow over the next few years. And I'm excited for all your projects. And we will always support you as best we can here on the show. So thank you again so much for holding space. Time is the most valuable thing we have. And I appreciate the last 56 minutes and 45, 46, 47 seconds of your life. So thank you so much.
Awesome, man.
Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, every Wednesday, brand new episode. Be sure to tune in next week. And until then, be good and do good. That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks, dude.
That was amazing.